It's an incredible honor for me to introduce the next honoree. My name's Nate Mickish. I'm part of the Bellwether board, Future Famer class of 2015. This person needs no introduction, so I'll be extremely brief, but I will give you this brief anecdote. When asked what it takes to be an excellent supply chain leader, this person says, hire the right people and get out of their way. And that's really good to hear because he hired me, and I feel really good about that. When asked what his greatest regret was, he said, the people I hired. so just this one right here. So no, John Gaida means an incredible, he means a lot to me as a person, both professionally and personally. I learned a lot from John just in the way he managed myself and developed his team. I learned a lot by the value of the importance of the relationships he had with folks in industry, and I learned that you could be a compassionate supply chain leader and still get the job done. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce John Gaida to the 2018 class of Bellwether.
Yes, my hug. So we're going to get every hug. There you go.
You're chairman emeritus, you can get away with a lot of stuff, you know. All right, so over the years, you've seen me up on the stage many times. I've been fortunate enough to hand out many bellwethers to people, and it's been a great honor for me to do that. But nothing compares with the honor tonight of receiving this award. So I really appreciate that. But it's not my first bellwether. You might be surprised to hear that. I already have a bellwether. Sam Rodenbush, my best friend, passed away. I said I wasn't going to do this. Anyway, I have his award, and so now I have bookends on I will have them on my mantle. So it's very nice to receive this award. I've always loved quotes, those of you that know me well, and so I'd like to share some quotes with you tonight throughout my remarks, and start with a few here that I thought were most appropriate to the bellwethers tonight and the bellwethers in the room. Whatever you are, be a good one, Abraham Lincoln. The best luck of all is the luck you make for yourself, Douglas MacArthur. Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference, Sir Winston Churchill. Surround yourself with great people, delegate authority, and get out of the way, Ronald Reagan, right? And this last one, doing a good job in supply chain management is like wetting your pants in a dark suit. You get a warm feeling, but no one notices. John Gaida. 1980, I knew you'd like that. 1980, 1981, I said that enough times. I was trying to drum it into people. Yeah, it was a joke, but at the same time, I was trying to make a point that, you know, we don't get a lot of accolades in supply chain management. That quote wasn't quite as profound as the first four, but it was, you know, very meaningful for me, and I think it kind of gives you a view of what supply chain management is like in healthcare, what it was like back in the early days, and I think what it's still like today. And that's not such a bad thing, you know, being in the background, doing the things that keep the healthcare system running day in and day out on the weekends. And you know, we got those warm feelings on Friday nights when we had to go and get supplies from the warehouse, or we had to go help a surgeon get an implant, or whatever it might have been. So those warm feelings came in different ways. So I'm here tonight, obviously, to thank the Bellwether Board for this wonderful honor. But I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank all the people along the way that helped me get here. And so I was bound and determined to thank each person personally. And you know, I started a list, and I was determined to not only tell you their names, but to tell you what they did to help me get here. But then I got to around 73, truly, and I had more, but I thought I better quit because Rick and Nick would certainly throw me off the stage if I probably even tried to get through all those names. So I want to thank everyone, and the point is that they've done a great deal for me, and I really appreciated all their help along the way. So instead of reading those names and telling you what they did, I thought I'd continue with some of my quotes. Here's one that kind of sums up my work philosophy. Life is pretty simple. You do some stuff, most stuff fails. Some stuff works. You do more of what works. Pretty simplistic. Leonardo da Vinci. But, you know, it's really true when you think about it. So as I thought about the last 40 years, it's been a very long time for me, obviously, and those other Bellwethers who have talked about their long careers. I thought about one of my first very big deals. And as I remembered it, my first big deal was buying 500 Selectric IBM typewriters. Don't see many typewriters around anymore, do you? My last big deal was purchasing $500 million of energy for my healthcare system. So a lot has changed in that period of time. But I also realized that I didn't have a Fitbit. I wasn't on LinkedIn. There were no cell phones. My first computer was an Apple III, and I carried 2 pagers. And the rest of you old farts in the room like me will remember wearing a couple of pagers and driving down the road, and your pager goes off, and you stop, and you go run for a phone booth. There's no more phone booths. There's no more pagers. We are old guys and ladies. Well, some ladies, not all ladies. I realized I led my supply chain team and health centers through wildfires, earthquakes, many new construction projects, union negotiations, union contracts and strikes, and even equipping a hospital in Tanzania, Africa. Done a lot in a short period of time. At least I think it was a short period of time. I've been very fortunate to lead lots of a few really big national organizations like the Association for Healthcare Resource and Materials Management. I founded a strategic marketplace initiative, and I helped create and lead this Bellwether League for quite a few years, and I'm very proud of all of that. And while a lot of things have changed over that 40 years, some things really have never changed. And so I'd like to share with you 3 things that I think are key to a long and successful career. And the first thing is doing the basics very well. It sounds so simple, but it made so much sense to me. Why wouldn't you do those things that people really want you to do, like return phone calls, you know, and treat people well? It makes so much sense to me. Do the right thing. That book that you know, is The Things I Learned in Kindergarten is probably the best business book that was ever written. Back then and still today. If people would just do the simple things. You know, I've always been about, maybe because I'm a simple guy, but maybe it's doing the simple things better than anybody else. And so I always try to instill that in the new people in our organization. Number 2 is mentoring. This was by far the most rewarding for me. I was very fortunate to have worked with some very talented people. Many of those people would have been on that list of 73. They've become ARM presidents along the way. They were on boards in their careers, SMI board, this Bellwether board. They've even become Bellwether honorees. So again, I've been very fortunate to work with some talented folks, and I appreciated all of their guidance. This is probably a good time for me to acknowledge Mr. Lee Bergadine sitting up front here, who nominated me for this award tonight and was an early mentor of mine. Actually, I think he felt sorry for me because I never got fired from a job or let go, which I know happens to people, not necessarily for, you know, all different reasons, but he was the guy who asked me to leave. And if you want to hear the story later, I'll tell you about it. It's really sad, but anyway, he's a great guy. General George Patton said, "Never tell people how to do things, tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity." I tried to do that every chance I could. And number 3 is building strong relationships everywhere. It's a people business that we're in healthcare, obviously. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "To handle yourself, use your head. To handle others, use your heart." I've made many lifelong friends along the way that helped me, you know, board members, you name it, frontline staff, people from the manufacturing community, distribution community, all great folks, you know, and I think most people miss a great chance in keeping those relationships on into their careers and past. I have some great friends that I keep in contact with now that I used to work with, and people that you know, I used to work for. Rick Barlow was kind enough to publish 10 plus years ago an article I wrote about the people who told me no. And it was meant to be a joke, but at the same time, there were 16 people that I referenced in that article. Again, hospital presidents, board members, frontline staff, who said, "John, don't do that." You know, I'd go to them and say, "I have this great idea. I want to do this, or I want to do that. Let's go purchase this." Nope, they'd say, "Don't do it." I usually listened, but a lot of times I didn't, got in trouble. But at the same time, my point is that we learn lots of different ways, and we learn when people tell us no. And I got protected, I guess, quite a bit by that too. Here's another great quote. A leader's job is to have all the questions. You have to be incredibly comfortable looking like the dumbest person in the room, Jack Welch. I look like the dumbest person in the room many times, right, guys? But you know, some of your best ideas don't come from yourself. Those leaders know that it's a combination of folks you work with, your teammates, people in your organization. I've always said that some of my best ideas were not really my ideas. They were things that came out of a group. But you know, a leader gets a lot of credit for things, and sometimes that's not necessarily the correct way, but at the same time, it's all about having the success of doing what needs to be done for your healthcare system. Vince Lombardi said, "We would accomplish many more things if we did not think of them as impossible." Many Bellwether honorees here tonight took those chances and did some crazy things, but they were successful in the long run. And so that's what makes them Bellwethers. If you can do what you do best and be happy, you're further along in life than most people. Leonardo DiCaprio. Even a guy like Leonardo can come up with a good quote once in a while. I really enjoyed that one. My guess is that every Bellwether would tell you they loved what they did and how wonderful it is to get recognized at the end of your career for something you love to do. And finally, sorry, I have one regret. And that's that my wife, Maura, is not here to join me. Where's Faye? Is Faye still here? I know what you're going through. She passed away about a year ago. And I'm going to end by saying, Celine Dion said it best. You're the one who saw me through it all. I'm everything I am because you love me. Thank you.